What if humans never needed sleep? Nimes asterisk, the last night of sleep. Tonight, billions of people will perform the same ancient ritual. They will turn off the lights, close their eyes, and disappear from the waking world for several hours. During that time, cities will become quieter, roads will empty, offices will close, and human consciousness will surrender to sleep. We spend roughly 1/3 of our lives doing it. For a person who lives 90 years, that could mean almost 30 years spent asleep. 30 years without conversations, without travel, without work, without seeing the world around us. Sleep is so common that we rarely question it. But imagine waking up tomorrow morning and discovering that you will never feel tired again. Your body no longer requires sleep. Your brain remains clear. Your muscles recover without rest. Your memories are organized automatically. Your immune system functions normally. You can stay awake for days, months, or even decades without becoming confused, sick, or exhausted. And the same transformation happens to every human being on Earth. At first, it would feel like a miracle. The average person would suddenly gain several extra hours every day. A worker who previously slept 8 hours would now have an additional 120 days of waking time each year. Time would become the greatest gift humanity had ever received. On the first night, most people would not know what to do with it. They would lie in bed out of habit. They would close their eyes. They would wait for sleep to arrive. But nothing would happen. Their minds would remain calm and alert. Their bodies would feel completely rested. Some would get up and watch television. Others would read, cook, clean, exercise, or walk outside beneath the stars. Social media would fill with the same question. Is anyone else still awake? The answer would be everyone. At midnight, streets would remain crowded. Coffee shops would stay open. Restaurants would fill with customers. Parks would become gathering places. Children would ask their parents why they had to stay in bed when they no longer felt sleepy. For the first time in history, the entire human population would experience the night consciously. The transformation would immediately affect homes. Bedrooms would no longer serve their original purpose. Beds would become unnecessary. Hotels would lose most of their customers. Mattress companies, sleep clinics, pillow manufacturers, and entire industries built around rest would face collapse. People might convert bedrooms into offices, studios, gyms, libraries, or workshops. Small apartments would suddenly feel larger. A room once occupied by a bed could become a space for living. But the greatest changes would happen outside the home. Modern civilization is built around the assumption that humans must stop every night. Businesses close. Schools end. Factories reduce activity. Public transportation slows down. The rhythm of society follows the rhythm of sleep. Without that limitation, the 24-hour day would be completely reorganized. During the first week, companies would begin experimenting with new schedules. Some employees might work longer hours. Others might divide the day into several shorter shifts. Offices could remain open continuously. Factories might operate without interruption. Construction projects could continue through the night. Deliveries could arrive at any hour. The global economy would no longer pause. Productivity could increase dramatically. A project that once required 1 year might be completed in months. Scientists could spend more time in laboratories. Engineers could develop new technologies faster. Doctors could treat more patients. Artists could create more music, films, books, and paintings. Students could learn new skills without sacrificing work or family time. People might study several careers during one lifetime. A person could work as an engineer during one part of the day, learn a language during another, and spend the remaining hours creating art. The extra time could unlock an extraordinary period of human creativity. But it could also create a new kind of pressure. If nobody needed sleep, employers might begin expecting workers to be available at all times. The 8-hour workday might disappear. Some companies could argue that employees now had 16 additional hours to work. Competition would increase. People who used their extra time for rest, entertainment, or family might be judged as lazy. The disappearance of sleep would not automatically create freedom. It could simply give powerful institutions more hours to control. Governments would face a difficult question. How many hours should a human being be expected to work when physical exhaustion is no longer a limit? Even if the body did not need sleep, the mind might still need variety. People could remain awake forever without becoming biologically tired, but boredom, stress, sadness, and emotional overload would still exist. A person could be physically alert while feeling mentally trapped. New laws might be required to protect personal time. The right to rest would become separate from the need to sleep. Schools would also change. Children would no longer need bedtime. Parents could not simply send them to their rooms and expect several quiet hours. Families would be together almost constantly. Some parents would appreciate the extra time. Others would find it overwhelming. Education could become more flexible. Schools might operate in continuous shifts. Students could attend lessons at night and play during the day. Classrooms would no longer be divided by a single morning schedule. But childhood could also become more intense. Without sleep, children might be expected to learn for longer periods. Competitive parents could fill every hour with lessons, sports, music, and training. The absence of sleep would create more time. It would not guarantee that time was used kindly. The world's cities would transform quickly. Night would no longer mean silence. Traffic would continue around the clock. Shopping districts would remain active. Public transportation would need constant operation. Streetlights would become even more important. Electricity demand could increase as buildings stayed illuminated throughout the night. Cities might produce more noise, more waste, and more pollution. The night sky could become harder to see as artificial light spread into every corner of the planet. There would be no natural pause when humanity stepped back and allowed the world to become quiet. Wildlife would suffer. Many animals depend on darkness and reduced human activity. Nocturnal species move through cities after people go inside. Birds rest when roads become quiet. Predators and prey follow daily cycles shaped by light and darkness. If humans remained active 24 hours a day, animals would lose some of their last peaceful hours. Noise and light pollution could spread deeper into forests and coastal areas. The planet might become permanently awake. Transportation would also change. Long-distance drivers would no longer become sleepy. Pilots could fly without fatigue. Surgeons could perform longer operations. Night shift accidents caused by exhaustion could decline. People could travel across time zones without jet lag caused by disrupted sleep schedules. International business would become easier because nobody would be unavailable simply because it was nighttime. The concept of morning and evening would begin losing importance. People might no longer organize life around sunrise and sunset. Instead, everyone could create an individual schedule. One person might work from midnight until dawn. Another could socialize in the afternoon and study through the night. Families living in the same house might rarely follow the same routine. Humanity would gain more control over time. But shared time could begin disappearing. Meals would no longer happen at predictable hours. There might be no universal breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Television programs would not have a traditional prime time. Public events could be scheduled at any hour. The simple question, "What time do you go to bed?" would become meaningless. After several weeks, the world would appear more productive than ever. Factories would run continuously. Markets would remain open. Scientific research would accelerate. Roads would stay crowded under the stars. But inside billions of human minds, something unexpected would begin happening. People would realize that sleep had provided more than physical recovery. It had created a boundary. Every night, sleep ended the day. It separated yesterday from tomorrow. Without that boundary, life would begin feeling like one continuous, unbroken moment. There would be no closing of the eyes. No surrender. No disappearance from responsibility. The last night of sleep would not simply mark the end of tiredness. It would mark the end of the daily escape humanity had experienced since the beginning of its existence. A world that never closes its eyes. 1 year after humanity stops sleeping, the world no longer recognizes the night. Cities glow constantly. Factories never close. Stores operate without interruption. The roads at 3 in the morning are as crowded as they once were at 3 in the afternoon. There are no rush hours because human activity is spread across the entire day. There are no traditional weekends because work can be organized into countless rotating schedules. Time has become more flexible and more valuable. The global economy has expanded. With nearly 1/3 more waking life available, companies produce more goods. Researchers conduct more experiments. Construction crews complete buildings faster. Shipping networks move continuously. Some nations introduce 6-hour work shifts repeated across the day. Others allow employees to choose their own schedules. People can earn more money, learn more skills, and complete more projects than any previous generation. Medical research advances rapidly. Scientists have more laboratory time. Doctors can monitor patients without changing shifts because of fatigue. Emergency teams remain alert during long disasters. Astronauts can travel without needing sleeping quarters. Spacecraft become smaller and more efficient because beds, sleep schedules, and artificial day-night cycles are no longer necessary. A journey to Mars could be spent entirely awake. Explorers could work continuously. Submarine crews could remain alert throughout long missions. Humanity could operate in places where the normal cycle of day and night does not exist. But the disappearance of sleep would also reshape the human body in visible ways. Beds would vanish from homes. Hotels would become temporary living spaces rather than places to sleep. Airplanes would remove reclining seats and sleeping cabins. Bedrooms would become relics. Museums might eventually display mattresses, alarm clocks, and pajamas as objects from a forgotten age. Alarm clocks would become unnecessary. The sound that once forced billions of people awake every morning would disappear. Coffee would also change. People could still drink it for flavor, but caffeine would no longer be needed to fight tiredness. Energy drinks would lose much of their purpose. Late-night cafes might survive as social spaces, but the phrase "staying up late" would no longer make sense. Humans would always be up. The entertainment industry would grow enormously. People would have more time to watch films, play games, read books, attend concerts, and explore virtual worlds. A television series could be watched for 20 hours without causing physical exhaustion. Video games might become even more immersive. Some people could spend entire weeks inside digital environments, stopping only to eat and use the bathroom. Addiction would become a greater concern. Sleep currently forces people to disconnect. Without it, there would be no automatic interruption. Casinos could operate continuously with customers who never became tired. Social media could consume entire days. A person might scroll through content for 50 hours and still feel physically alert. Humanity would gain time, but corporations would compete aggressively to capture every second of it. The advertising industry might treat nighttime as newly available territory. Billboards, screens, and notifications would follow people constantly. There would be no protected hours when consumers were unconscious. Attention would become one of the most valuable resources on Earth. Relationships would also change. Couples would spend far more time together. For some, this could create deeper connections. They could talk, travel, and share experiences without losing hours to sleep. For others, constant wakefulness could create conflict. There would be fewer natural breaks after arguments. No one could say, "Let us sleep on it," and wait until morning. Emotions might continue building without interruption. People would need to deliberately create distance and silence. Private rooms, personal walks, and scheduled periods of solitude could replace sleep as ways of resetting the mind. Parents would face an entirely new world. Babies would no longer wake during the night, because nobody slept at all. But children would require attention 24 hours a day. Parents might organize childcare in shifts. Communities could create continuous schools and activity centers. Childhood friendships might form between children who preferred different hours of activity. The idea of a bedtime story would become symbolic rather than practical. Stories might be told during scheduled quiet periods, when families intentionally dimmed the lights and pretended the day had ended. Because even if humans did not need sleep, they might still need rituals. They might still need moments that signaled closure. The loss of dreams would become one of the greatest mysteries. If humans never slept, ordinary dreaming would disappear. For thousands of years, dreams have influenced religion, art, science, and personal identity. People have awakened with melodies, inventions, fears, and ideas that seem to emerge from somewhere beyond conscious control. Without sleep, that hidden world would close. There would be no nightmares, no dreams of flying, no impossible conversations with people who had died, no strange landscapes created by the sleeping brain. Artists might attempt to replace dreams using virtual reality, meditation, chemicals, or sensory deprivation. Special centers could offer artificial dreaming experiences. People might enter dark rooms, float in silent tanks, or use technology designed to create dreamlike visions. Dreaming could become a luxury. Something humans once experienced freely every night might become a service people paid to recover. mental health would become more complicated. In this scenario, the brain no longer requires sleep for biological maintenance. Memory remains stable. Attention remains clear. But emotional life still needs processing. Humans need pauses from responsibility. They need time when nobody expects an answer. Without sleep, messages could arrive at any hour. Employers could contact workers constantly. Friends might expect immediate replies. News would never stop. The mind would remain connected to the world without a natural escape. Psychologists might recommend scheduled periods of wakeful rest. People could spend several hours each day in darkness, silence, or meditation. They would not sleep, but they would intentionally withdraw. Governments might legally protect these periods. A right to disconnect could become as important as the old right to sleep. Some communities might reject the constantly active world. They would create dark zones where artificial lights were turned off for part of the day. People would gather quietly. They would avoid work, technology, and conversation. These communities might call the practice artificial night, not because their bodies required it, because their minds did. The absence of sleep could also deepen inequality. Wealthy people could use their additional hours for education, travel, creativity, and personal growth. Poorer workers might be forced to take multiple jobs. A wealthy person could live the equivalent of a longer life. A struggling person could spend the same extra years working. Employers might advertise 20-hour shifts as opportunities. Governments could raise retirement ages because people were no longer losing time to sleep. The gift of more life could become an excuse for more labor. Human beings might technically live the same number of years, but their waking lives would become much longer. An 80-year-old person without sleep would experience as many conscious hours as someone from the old world who lived well beyond 100 years. This could transform our understanding of age. People might feel that life moved more slowly. Childhood would seem longer. Relationships would contain more shared time. A prison sentence of 10 years would become psychologically far harsher, because prisoners would remain conscious through every hour. Waiting would become more difficult. Grief could feel longer because there would be no nightly escape from pain. But happiness could also expand. A parent would gain thousands of additional hours with a child. A musician could master several instruments. A scientist could dedicate more time to solving a problem. An explorer could see more of the world. Humanity would have time to do almost everything it currently postpones. The real question would be whether people used that time meaningfully. After several generations, sleep would become difficult to understand. Children would learn that their ancestors once became unconscious every night. They might find the idea frightening. For several hours, people had been unable to see, move, or protect themselves. They had experienced hallucinations called dreams. They had accepted this vulnerable state as normal. Ancient bedrooms would appear strange. Why did every home contain a large object used only for lying unconscious? Why did people spend so much money on blankets, mattresses, and pillows? Why did they organize entire cities around the need to close their eyes? Sleep could become one of history's most mysterious lost behaviors. Yet some people might long for it. They would read old descriptions of slowly becoming tired, of lying beneath warm blankets, of hearing rain outside, of feeling thoughts become softer and less organized, of waking after a dream and briefly forgetting where they were. They might envy their ancestors. Not because sleep was efficient, but because it allowed human beings to let go. Without sleep, there would be no final moment of the day, no last thought before darkness, no first breath of morning. Life would continue without punctuation. Humanity would gain more hours than it had ever imagined, but every hour would demand a decision. Work, learn, create, travel, consume, communicate, or simply do nothing. Perhaps, at first, people would celebrate the end of sleep as the end of wasted time. But eventually, they might understand that sleep was never truly empty. It was a private world, a shelter from noise, a daily reminder that humans were not machines. We often imagine that more time would solve everything. We would finish every project, learn every skill, visit every place, become the person we always intended to be. But a world without sleep would reveal a more uncomfortable truth. Having more time does not tell us how to live. It only gives us more hours in which to choose. So tonight, when your eyes begin to feel heavy, do not think of sleep as lost time. Think of it as the oldest boundary in human life, a doorway between one day and the next. Because if humanity never needed to sleep again, the world might accomplish more than ever before. But it might also forget how to